So in the last class, we have discussed the elongation in a uniform cross-sectional bar due to its self-weight. So here we had derived it, the elongation of the bar due to its self-weight is, here rho is nothing but a density into L square, that is length of the rod by 2E. So the elongation in the rod due to its self-weight when the density is given. So how to find the stress? How to find the stress in the rod? So I can find the strain in the rod by dividing this by original length. By dividing this by original length, I can find the strain. After finding the strain, I can multiply the strain with Young's modulus to get the stress in the rod due to its self-weight. So we know that stress is equal to Young's modulus into strain. Therefore, strain can be written as WL square by 2E into L again. Therefore, L will be cancelled. Therefore, we will get a strain. Substituting this strain in the equation, we can find the stress. WL by 2E. Sorry, 2E will be also cancelled. E also will be cancelled. Therefore, we will get rho into L by 2. That is the stress in the body when a self-loaded, that is its own weight is considered. On the body. So that is the derivation what we had derived in the previous class. Next derivation, uniform strength. So in the previous derivation, we have derived that according to the length of the rod, the stress will be varying. That is nothing but small WL by 2 is nothing but a stress in the component due to its self-weight. So it depends on the length of the rod. Therefore, here the length is also a parameter for its self-weight. If I increase the length, the stress also will be increased. That means if I consider the stress at this location, it will be increased. If I start at this location, it will be increased.
326. Please mute yourself.
So the stress will be varying for a uniform cross-sectional area. According to the length. If I increase the length, the stress will be increased at this location. The stress will be low at the bottom of the location. Therefore, here I need a uniform stress. So stress is inversely proportional to the area the stress is inversely proportional to the area. Therefore, if I increase the area, therefore the stress will be decreased. The stress will be decreased. Therefore, in the previous problem, we have studied that at the fixed end, the stress is higher. At the fixed end, the stress is higher and it is somewhat lower. It was somewhat lower at the free end. So here, for this reason, I need to increase the area. I need to increase the area at the fixed end. I need to increase the area at the fixed end such that the uniform strength, that is nothing but a stress, the uniform stress need to be seen in a component. The uniform strength, that is stress, need to be equal at any region. So if I consider the stress at this region, it is equal, and if I consider the stress in this region, it also need to be equal. If I consider the stress at the lower region, it also need to be equal. So we can achieve by increasing the area at the fixed end. Therefore, so here we can increase the area, that is we are taking the area A1 at the upper end, we are taking the area A2 at the lower end. That means it will be varying cross-sectional area. It is a varying cross-sectional area. So I need the relation. I need a relation how much area need to be decreased to achieve the equal strength or stress at each and every position. That is the condition here. I need a equal stress at any location of my length. ఏ లెంత్ లో తీసుకున్నా నాకు ఈక్వల్ స్ట్రెస్ ఉండాలి. But in the previous problem, we have studied that it is depend on the length. Length పెరిగే కొద్దీ the stress will be also increasing. But నాకు అలా ఇప్పుడు వద్దు, నాకు ఈక్వల్ స్ట్రెస్ ఉండాలి. ఎంత లెంత్ పెరిగినా ఏ రీజియన్ లో అయినా ఈక్వల్ స్ట్రెస్ ఉండాలి. దట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ యూనిఫామ్ స్ట్రెంగ్త్. So for that, here a self weight and external weight also will need to be considered here. External weight కూడా కన్సిడర్ చేసినప్పుడు కూడా ఈ రెండిట్లకి కన్సిడర్ చేస్తూ I need to derive an equation what will be the area and area varying according to the uniform strength. నాకు ఎక్కడ చూసినా యూనిఫామ్ స్ట్రెంగ్త్ వచ్చేటట్టు చూస్తాకి చేస్తున్నామమ్మా. So here the external load is applied on the component and the self load is also applied on the component, So here a small step, capital A, B, C, D is considered at a distance of small x from the free end, and the length of the step is dx. And the stress on the top of the step, is sigma. Again, we are considering having the same stresses. In the bottom of the, that is AB side, the stress will be again a sigma. So the stresses are same on the both sides. Therefore, I need to convert the stresses into force acting on the top face of a step. I need to convert the stresses acting on the top face of the step. Therefore, force can be written as stress into area. Therefore, here stress is sigma. Therefore, the force acting upward direction, the force acting upward direction is stress into here area is A, capital A plus capital dA. That is, the area is somewhat increased in the topmost layer of the strip. Area is somewhat increased in the topmost layer of the strip. Therefore, I am considering capital A plus dA is the area on the topmost area of the strip. Next, in the bottom side of the strip, we have a stress due to the external load, the stress due to the external load as well as its self weight, due to the strip. Therefore, here the stress into area, is the external load applied on the component, and omega into A into dx, is the self weight consideration on the strip. The weight of the strip need to be considered due to the gravity towards the bottom side. Therefore, I need to consider this towards the downward direction. So these are the two forces. Which are moving downward direction. Therefore, simplifying this, we'll get some relation dA by A is equal to omega by sigma into dx. To achieve the total area, that is area varying length, that is according to the length what will be the area. Therefore, I need to do the integrals on the both sides. Therefore, we'll get a constant C, and integral of 1 by x is nothing but log x. Therefore, here x is nothing but capital A, and here on the other side it is dx. Therefore, w by sigma into x plus c. So I need this c value, that is integral constant, by applying the boundary condition. Therefore, at x is equal to 0, that is at the lower end, that is nothing but at the lower end, the area is A2. Therefore, substituting the values in my equation, I can find the c value. Therefore, substituting the integral constant in my previous equation, therefore I will get log A is equal to omega by sigma into x plus c can be written as log A2. By applying the boundary condition, we can find this c value. Therefore, I can move this A2, log A2 towards the left hand side. Therefore, we are attaining a negative sign here. Therefore, log A by A2 is equal to omega by sigma into x. Therefore, moving the log E to the other side, that is right hand side, we will get an answer of A is equal to A2 into e to the power of omega x by sigma. Therefore, this is the area at any location. So if I need to find out the area, you need to find out the area at x, that is the area at that location. This is the x location. So if I need to find the area, capital A, so I need to find out the area at the bottom face I need to find out the area at the bottom face and the density of that component and the density of the component and the length, and I need to find out the stress. So by using this, I can find the areas at different locations at x is equal to 0, at x is equal to 1, x is equal to 2, at x is equal to 3, and so on up to x is equal to L. Therefore, at x is equal to L, we will get an area of A1 is equal to A2 e to the power of omega into, in the place of x, we will get L by sigma. That is the area at the fixed end. We need to find out the area at the fixed end such that the sigma will be equal at any location. The sigma will be equal at any location. That is the uniform stress along the length. Uniform stress along the length. So this is the derivation, very important derivation for the uniform strength for different locations. So next topic. So first chapter. So first unit. In the first unit, we have 4 different chapters. In the first unit, we have 4 different chapters. First chapter is completed. That is simple stresses and strains are completed. And the second chapter. In the second chapter, we have volumetric strain and the relationship between Young's modulus, bulk modulus, and shear modulus. We'll call as elastic constants. Elastic constants. So 3 topics, that is 4 topics. 4 topics, Sama. 4 topics need to be complete within this second chapter to close. So for this, I need to derive the volumetric strain. We have derived the Young's modulus and we have derived the bulk modulus. We have derived the shear modulus. So we need to derive the relationship between these two. So I am revising the topic again, the useful topics in this chapter. First one is a longitudinal strain. What is a longitudinal strain? And what is a lateral strain? What is a Poisson ratio? What is a volumetric strain? And next, a topic is what is Young's modulus? What is bulk modulus? What is shear modulus? I need to define all these components. And I need to get a relation between these all things. So here mainly 2 cross sections are considered up to now. First one is a rectangular cross section with uniaxial load, only one axis, one dimensional problem only we have studied up to now. Either it may be a circular cross section, either it may be a rectangular cross section. Only we have studied up to now a uniaxial, that is only one axis load is applied on the component. In this chapter 2, we will study about the triaxial load. That is nothing but 3-dimensional load applied on the component. That is x-axis load, y-axis load, and a z-axis load is applied on this component. So in this chapter, we will study about the three-dimensional load on the component. So first of all, we need to study about the longitudinal stress and longitudinal strains. So what is a longitudinal strain? What is a longitudinal strain? So we have studied that longitudinal strain, small e, is equal to change of length by original length. Change of length by original length. It is also can be written as in terms of stresses, that is stress by Young's modulus. Stress by Young's modulus. So this is previously we have studied it. This is previously we have studied it. Longitudinal strain. Okay, Rama. Next one is what is a lateral strain? What is a lateral strain? So if you see the second diagram, due to the external load applied on the body, due to the external load applied on the body, due to the external load applied on the body, the component dimension is changing. The component dimension is changing. That is delta L and delta B and delta T. The component dimension is changing. So initially it is a B and it is T and this is L. While applying the load along the axis, along the longitudinal axis, the length is increasing. The length is increasing and the width is decreasing here. If you see, initially it is B, initially it is B, now it is decreased. It is decreased. Initially, if you see this diagram, this must be this summa. While applying the load, the width is decreased. So it feels a compressive on this side. On the width side, it feels a compressive. If you see the thickness also, it is also decreased by delta T. That is also, it also feels a compressive. It also feels a compressive. Only along the line of action of load, along the line of action of the load, the dimension is increasing. The dimension is increasing. That is perpendicular to the line of action of the loads. That is, we'll call it as the lateral directions. Lateral directions, the dimensions are decreasing. The dimensions are decreasing. Both are lateral here. Therefore, lateral strain is nothing but here. Lateral strain is nothing but delta B by B or delta T by T. That is, lateral is nothing but perpendicular direction of action of load. Perpendicular direction of action of load. We'll call it as a lateral direction. In this direction, we are calculating the strains also. That strains will called as lateral strains. But these lateral strains are in compressive in nature. The lateral strains are compressive in nature because the width is decreased. The width is decreased as well as thickness also decreased. The width and thickness are decreased. Therefore, it shows that it is in compressive in nature. It shows that it is in compressive in nature. Therefore, the lateral strains are incompressive in nature when the load is applied along the axis. When the load is applied along the axis. That is the second definition. That is nothing but lateral strain. And the third definition is Poisson ratio. Poisson ratio is nothing but the ratio between lateral strain by longitudinal strain. Lateral strain by longitudinal strain. It is represented by mu or 1 by m. It is represented by mu or 1 by m. So what is the units for the Poisson ratio? What is the units for the Poisson ratio? So here the strain has no units. The lateral strain also has no units. So no units. No units. Therefore, the Poisson ratio has no units. The Poisson ratio has no units. The Poisson ratio has no units. And the value of the Poisson ratio, is always less than 1. It is always less than 1 because the lateral strain is less than the longitudinal strain. The lateral strain is less than the longitudinal strain. So here, if you see here, the longitudinal strain will be somewhat higher the value because the load is acting on this direction. The load is acting on this direction. Therefore, the strain, longitudinal strain, is somewhat higher value, and the lateral strain is somewhat lower value. Therefore, the upper value is lower value and the lower value is somewhat higher value. Therefore, we are getting the Poisson ratio. Less than 1. The maximum limit is 1 only, for the materials. It will not having the Poisson ratio having 1. A material ki Poisson ratio 1 ane material ekkada levama. It is always less than 1 only. The Poisson ratio always less than 1 only. Next one is a volumetric strain. So here the volumetric strain is, we have studied the definition of volumetric strain. It is represented by small e suffix v. Strain can be written as change of volume by original volume. Change of volume by original volume gives the volumetric strain. Change of volume by original volume gives the volumetric strain of that component. To find the volumetric strain. So next derivation is, I need to find out the volumetric strain for a cylindrical component, for uniaxial load. For a cylindrical component, for a uniaxial load, that is only along the axis the load is applied. And the diameter is known value of the component. And I need to find out the volumetric strain due to this uniaxial load. I need to find out the volumetric strain for the uniaxial, that is only one dimensional load is applied on the component. So here, To find the volumetric strain, I need the change of volume by original volume. So due to this applied load, the diameter will be reduced, and the length will be increased. The diameter will be reduced and the length will be increased. Now the diameter is the final diameter. D final diameter is that is D plus delta D. And the final length is L plus delta L. The final length is L plus delta L after applying the load. Now I need volumetric strain. Volumetric strain can be found by change of volume, can be found by final volume minus initial volume by the initial volume. How to find the volume of a cylindrical bar? It is nothing but area into length of that component. Therefore, how to find the area of a cross-sectional? That is nothing but pi by 4 d square into L is the original volume of that component. And how to find the final volume of the component? Now the area for the final volume is, that is nothing but diameter square, that is nothing but D plus delta D whole square into delta L plus L is the final length. This gives the final volume of that component. So if I multiply this, it is nothing but A plus B whole square. So I can multiply this A square plus B square plus 2A B into L plus delta L. Again, I need to multiply this with L. Total equation need to multiply with L, and total equation need to be multiplied with delta L also. The total equation need to be multiplied with L, and the total equation need to be multiplied with delta L also. Therefore, I can write it as the final volume pi by 4 d square into delta L plus pi by 4